One guy that has gotten things figured out, though, is Zach Plesac. And he had a patch where he went to 2-3 starts where he just didn't look quite right. They figured it out with him. Take a listen to Carl Willis, pitching coach, about Plesac and him figuring some things out.
It's really been cool to see. And, he asked all the right questions. If you go back and look at his major league career, which isn't, lengthy, right? I think he's in his third season here, or, his second full season. He'd never really, had a little bump in the road. He'd been very successful. And I think the one thing we had to really get through to him is that, elite pitchers, Cy Young caliber pitchers, everyone goes through a stretch at some point in time where things maybe aren't clicking and they're having bits of struggles. And how those guys get through that is trusting their work, trusting their routines, and staying diligent in doing what works for them, and not necessarily trying to feel like they have to recreate themselves or do something differently. He has gotten through that. He's in a very good place right now. We actually had the discussion yesterday. Okay, remember how it felt when things were a bit of a struggle and how you got yourself out of it. Okay, now you're out on the other side. Let's don't take that for granted. Let's still pay attention to that routine and those details that we're focusing on, so that you stay here as long as you can. And when the next bump comes, we know how to handle it.
And Matt, the other thing about it, Plesac had 20-plus innings scoreless, broken up with that 2-run homer. But, again, I think Perez is a guy that just settles those younger guys down. He's kind of like, he knows how to manage the personalities of the young pitchers. And that's what it is right now. Make them believe they belong and they're good enough to do what needs to be done.
Well, and you bring up the point about youth. I mean, this is the youngest rotation in the game, yet it's one of the better rotations in the game, so that's a good sign. But I think you're onto something here with Roberto Perez. Thursday night, Zach was really on his game, yet it wasn't one of those no-hit bids where the other team wasn't touching him. I mean, it was only a handful of strikeouts. It's not like he had 10 strikeouts in that game, and it was a windmill fest for the Mariners. He was working both sides of the plate, got a lot of ground balls, which was nice to see. And it was so close, 6 outs to go, and didn't get that no-hitter. But, it also helps, I think, the starting pitchers to know what they have behind them in this bullpen. The bullpen has been really, really good. I think when the starters, not only do they miss Perez, but they also miss the fact that none of these starters have had the opportunity to work with a lead or a nice padded 6-1 advantage in the 5th inning or 4th inning. I mean, I think Tristan McKenzie is gripping that baseball a little hard because he knows in every start it seems like it's a 0-0 game in the 4th inning, and then he implodes with some walks and home runs. So offense has to pick it up so some of these starting pitchers can breathe a little bit.